All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army, episode 2.224. We got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to start out with headlines. Messi, PSG, USL, and Bruce Arena. Women's World Cup. We will put a little bow on the U.S. women's national team sadness, maybe offer a prediction or two. Weekly What If will actually also be women's national team related. Then Premier League time. The 2023-24 season kicks off on Friday with Man City visiting Vincent Company in Burnley. So that will be, I cannot wait. And so, of course, we're going to help you try to get your mind right with some previews and a little bit of predictions, just so you guys can laugh at us, since the stoppage or the window's still open, and a lot will change, but whatever. Stoppage time. I've been Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. And then stay tuned for a great chat with one of, if not the best striker in the USL Championship, and Tommy's teammate, Philip Goodrum of FC Tulsa, who talks about life as a GSU member, obviously a very credible one, and his recent brush with controversy when he got offers from MLS and some and a European club last winter, but Memphis, his team as of last season, decided not to sell him. So it was one of those sort of thorny intersections between soccer and business. So anyway, very interesting conversation and a great guy. So stay tuned for that at the end. But now it is time to welcome in the distinguished Tweedle heavy panel of beauties here with me this week. It was going to be Tweedledee, Dumb and Dumber, but we lost who I'm going to call a donor since he bailed on us. Tommy McGunner. He had a team meeting, so he's out. We got two Tweedles though. First up, Tweedle number one, Mikey Podcast, who is no doubt still drunk, if not hungover, from the success of Arsenal's famous trophy-winning performance yesterday in the highly prestigious Community Shield game. So my question to you, Mikey, is what exactly did Arsenal do to deserve playing in that game?
Good question. I guess if City's too good, you can't just have them scrimmage, so you're going to have to throw someone else out there. I'm here bringing a fun fact with you today. It is no longer called the Charity Shield, and then it's now the Community Shield, because the FA did not meet the minimum requirements to consider itself a charity in terms of charitable acts. So that is why the name has been changed. But that to be on the record.
Where did you learn that, and when did you learn that?
Twitter today.
I totally forgot that I didn't even know if they know. I don't even know if I know they changed that name. But thank you for enlightening.
The quote from Colin Millar on Twitter: "A timely reminder: the Community Shield was legally forced to change its name away from charity because the FA failed to meet the minimum obligations of actually giving money to charity."
What year did that happen? Was that like recent?
2002.
Okay, that makes more sense. All right, well, Mikey, just a wellspring of very useful knowledge. Well done, Mikey. Good start. Tweedle number two, coming to us from the other side of the planet. So everyone, clap a little extra loud right now as we introduce Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch, who is down in, I don't know, the little land next to the land down under. I don't know exactly what we call New Zealand these days. Kiwi land. How's it going down there?
We're not letting you pick the nicknames for it. That's for damn sure. It's going well. I just flew down to Auckland for the U.S. women's national team to come out and support them. I received notification of the result as soon as I landed, and I, along with a bunch of other American supporters, were like, well, shit, now what? There's a guy in American overalls sitting next to me on the plane, and we just kind of looked at each other like, well, I don't know, you want to go to a bar or something? It was really weird, but happy to be down here nonetheless.
Yeah, well, obviously very disappointing, but I can't imagine you were like completely shocked by the result, which will probably
no, I mean, not surprising at all, and I'm sure we'll get into that later.
Yeah,
but
we'll
it was kind of, I almost like took solace in the lack of anxiety that I had from not watching that game. I couldn't watch it while on the plane, and so I just kind of had to accept the result, and I saved myself a couple gray hairs.
It sounds like every like Saturday morning and Sunday morning when I put a couple little sprinkle a couple bets on the K League
Yeah.
or the J League, and you wake up and
Yeah.
or the A League and find out, whether
Pick your letter.
exactly how I did. You just wake up the next morning. Yeah, I know the feeling, but we'll get into the U.S. women's national team in just a minute. Now, first, though, we're going to get started by running through some of the big headlines for the week. Let's start with some instant reactions to Messi's domination of League's Cup so far. So he's got 5 goals in 3 games. That includes a buzzer-beating game winner and a late equalizer last night against Dallas in one of, I know it's not technically an MLS game, but it was 2 MLS teams playing. So I'm going to call it an MLS game. One of the best MLS games that I've seen in a while anyway. Obviously we had high expectations for Messi, but Mikey, I mean, has he even exceeded what we were sort of, looking for from him? As he's on mute.
Yes. Sorry. That was probably my best part of the show.
Speaking of the mic, Mikey.
Yeah. Yes, he has exceeded expectations. I think anytime you have that much set piece success, there's clearly a string of either, hot or fortune or mentally in the right space. For sure did not expect any of this. Did I expect him to dominate? Yes. Did we all expect this amount of goal output right away? Probably not. He's not that type of player, usually. So this has been a lot of fun to see. He's going to make a lot of guys a lot of money down there. So it's been really awesome and it's really good for the sport.
Yeah, I think he's making just a lot of people a lot of money everywhere at this point. Like every legal, every team owner is making a fair amount of money off him.
I want to say something about him though that's negative.
Ooh, careful.
The Marvel celebrations have got to stop.
Okay, I was going to bring it up at some point, but let's talk about it now. That's the first thing that I've really disliked about Messi. And I know there's probably you could pick around the edges and pick out some things that like you don't like about or whatever. These are so artificial and so planted and so inauthentic. No, I'm a hard no on these Marvel celebrations. Mitch, what do you think?
Yeah, I've seen talks that they're for his kids and that they're directed at his kids, and they are. He does look towards the bench and towards his family when he does them. But 1 is fine. 2 back to back starts getting people's wheels turning. Like, ooh, this is a brand deal, isn't it?
Oh,
this is heavily ingrained into his contract. There's a Marvel partnership for MLS All-Star in which the ball was all Marvel themed.
Yeah,
Disney has a hand about anything down there. Yeah, it's paid. There's not feel good.
There's money involved. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that part of it. But everything else is awesome.
Everything else is great.
Right. Yeah. I'm just excited. I don't know where this is gonna go, but it's cool being able to watch him sort of, in our time zone or close to it anyway. And I know that it gives a lot of haters some ammunition to basically shit on MLS and specifically MLS defenders. But I mean, the guys just go back to what he did to Guardiola in the World Cup and made one of the, sort of highly sought after center backs in the world look like an absolute fool. So let's just sort of keep things in perspective here.
I have a bit of a gripe with the people that see Messi's performances against MLS and MLS caliber teams, and their conclusion from that is that, oh, well, look, MLS defending sucks or MLS standard is not good. He has done that against the best players in the world his entire career. Do you think it is illegitimizing or legitimizing for him to come here and dominate well? Because did you expect him to have a really difficult time when he came here? Did you expect MLS defenders to show him something that he hasn't seen before, or that like they were really going to give him trouble? No, he's the widely accepted best player in the world. So for the double standard to be that like, oh, he's the best, but also we expected him to struggle, and this is a kind of a blotch on MLS resume, it doesn't work. You can't have that cake and eat it too. He's the best player in the world, and he would do this to just about anybody.
Now, you shouldn't be able to have your cake and eat it too, but you know that everybody on Twitter doesn't give a fuck about that, so they're just going to.
No, you have to. You have to.
They're just going to get their Twitter likes
now.
X. Now I'm sticking with Twitter. I'm fucking sticking. It's just like the Sears Tower, the Sears Tower and Twitter. I'm sticking with them. Lakeshore Drive, etc.
Sure.
Not lastly, actually next up, but staying on the PSG front here. What in the world is going on at PSG these days? So we got the Mbappe situation, which has, sort of evolved over the coming weeks, but basically, or the past few weeks. Basically, it seems that he wants nothing to do with PSG. So much so, in fact, that he might head to Saudi Arabia before eventually heading to Real Madrid in 2024. The new thing that's hot on the Twitter streets, not X streets, the Twitter streets, is the rumor that one of these, pseudo journalist rumor merchants is putting out there, saying that MLS might make a move for him, which would be bananas. But also at the same time, almost, there's the Twitter again saying that Neymar now wants out of PSG as well. So Mitch, I'll go to you on this one. On the spectrum of, legitimate on the one side, and on the other side, Benzema to Arsenal, ridiculous rumors, sort of how much stock do you put in, any of this?
None for this transfer window. We heard Messi rumblings to enter Miami 3 years before it actually happened. I don't think any MLS team, even with the backing of Apple and the league itself, I don't think any MLS team has the assets and organization to bring over a Neymar or Mbappe right now. Do I think it's like realistic in 2 to 3 years? Sure. Yeah. But right now, no. I think it's maybe a pawn in the players' game to make a move that, like, oh, we'll go to America, we'll do it. Watch, I think it's a big old bluff right now, but it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, I agree. There's no way Mbappe's going. Like, absolutely not. I'd be shocked if he goes to Saudi Arabia, even though that money is insane what they're offering them. But on the other hand, it's not just MLS and Apple that's trying to get, Mbappe and maybe Neymar. I don't know, but it's MLS, Apple, Adidas, and Marvel. Don't forget that Marvel money. That's
Marvel money's good. No, nobody's forgetting about it. But even all five of those combined don't even scrape oil money in Saudi Arabia. And if money was really what he was after, I mean,
that's true.
The Saudi government has a hand in getting players over there. If they can't get Mbappe, Captain America can't either. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, news leak from, I believe it was The Athletic, who actually started this story a few weeks ago, and basically, got our balls a little tingling, that the USL has decided not to vote on promotion and relegation at their mid-season meeting that will take place this week. So I was going to put Tommy on the spot here because he was supposed to hop on, but like I said, he's got a team meeting. He's the only one that would have any idea about what is actually going on here. Whereas we're just gonna sort of pull opinions from our ass, but you know what, we're good at that, especially you, Mikey. So what do you think about is the dream dead, USL promotion relegation?
No, this makes me just ask another question.
Okay.
Why even vote? Why are we going to ask the people with the most to lose to vote? Why don't we just do it? They're never going to get a vote passed.
The people who...
there should be a separation of owners and league. If relegation is truly to be considered, there's never going to be in the best interest of somebody owning a club. I think we need to talk some. I think that there's no need to vote on this at all. I think it should just be it should be passed against the best wishes of the owners. Yes,
it's like
a vote is stupid.
So this is like you're sort of you're anti-capitalist. You're more of a communist when it comes to soccer.
Or I support the Greta Gerwig and just give one person full autonomy to do whatever they want with the entire league and follow their creative vision.
Is that a Barbie joke?
Yes, I mean she was able to execute everything she wanted. There should be somebody with a vision, like an Wenger should get FIFA. And he should have full autonomy, stuff like that. I'm all for that stuff.
All right,
give people power.
Yeah, this will come to the surprise absolutely nobody listening, or especially YouTube. But I have not seen the Barbie movie, so I was sort of Greta Gerwig. I do know that she directed or whatever. But anyway, Mitch, do you think this, in terms of whatever you thought the odds of promotion and relegation happening was, does this improve it or diminish it?
I don't think it changes it all that much. I like Mikey's shout for a creative dictatorship, but I think this
Yes.
just tables it for a little while. USL doesn't strike me as a league that releases news or decisions like that in the interest of drumming up press. I think they genuinely intended on voting on it, and then for some one reason or another have to push it back. Um, the fact that it's pushed back maybe causes me to doubt it a little bit, but it really does seem like it's a serious thought on the horizon for them. Um, what the one thing they mentioned during that release was that they can never compete with a league like MLS without promotion relegation. And I guess subconsciously in my mind, I've always visualized MLS as the first tier, USL is second, USL Championship is two or three, excuse me, so on and so forth, instead of USL being like a competing league with MLS. I've just never visualized it as that. So even with promotion relegation, I don't think they'll be able to compete like they say they are. But I think if they were to join forces with MLS and then turn something like that into a promotion relegation, that has a little bit more realism of happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of financial realities that would make that very, very difficult and complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's sort of one of those things where, all the Twitter hardos who, are just militantly in favor of promotion and relegation, and I secretly think don't actually care about soccer, even like a little bit. They basically say you bring promotion and relegation, and then it will just you will compete with MLS and you will surpass MLS because it'll drum up all this interest and it'll sort of bring. And there's probably a
It's
little bit
never
of truth.
that simple.
Oh, of course,
Sure,
of course,
but it's never
right.
that simple.
Of course not. But on Twitter, when you only have, back in the day, 140 characters, back in my day, yeah. Well, suffice to say, we'll see. It's disappointing that they're putting it off. Not surprising. I mean, it would be a huge thing if they did it. And there's probably a lot of details that they probably realize they still need to hammer out, just in terms of figuring out what exactly are we voting on here. So maybe if it's a 6-month thing. Now, if they don't vote on anything in, say, December, that at that point, then I'll start to be like, yeah, I don't see this happening. But we'll see on that. All right, last and weirdest news of the week, an announcement that Bruce Arena, head coach of New England Revolution, has been put on administrative leave pending an investigation into inappropriate or insensitive remarks that he is alleged to have said. So a couple things are interesting here. Number one, it's interesting how little seems to be known about this situation. Like, whoever is doing the investigation, it sounds like MLS, like there are no leaks. Nobody seems to know almost anything about what's going on here. So basically everything is just going to be sort of assumptions and suppositions and guesstimates. I guess the one thing that comes to my mind is that it would be crazy for somebody who's been in the public eye, like Bruce Arena has for so long, for decades at this point, for him to be like sort of suddenly outed as like a bad person. Strikes me as, I don't know, it's sort of difficult to imagine. He's obviously getting up there in age, and so people say, oh well, he just is insensitive, or he said some, maybe, I mean, who knows what the situation is. Obviously the world is changing, and the world is changing very quickly these days, and so somebody can say something somebody else deems makes them feel uncomfortable, and suddenly person A is a bad person, which I know sounds like me telling kids to get off my lawn, and maybe I am a little bit, but basically who knows what's going on here. I don't know Bruce Arena at all. I know a lot of people that have played for him, and they've basically, to a man, for the most part, been said nothing but nice things about him, other than obviously when he's a coach, he could probably be a little hard on you. But like, it sounds like he's a very much somebody who goes to bat for everybody that he knows and has coached and everything like that. So I don't know. It's just that's just so strange that this news is coming out, and I have no insight to bring to the table. I don't know. Anything to add from you guys?
Yeah. I heard he didn't like the Barbie movie. No, honestly, there's a strong case to be made that he has the air of a, an older generation to him in terms
Mhm.
of coaching and discipline. And, you know, it's very evident by the way he conducts himself and demands success and receives success, honestly. So when you said bad person, I cringed a little bit. The idea here, I don't think anybody thinks he's a bad person. I think his track record and history in the league has proven that he's at least, or at most, or worst, misunderstood here. Um, but it does seem to be, to me at least, an indication of maybe a changing generational shift in things and how people communicate from coach to player or coach to subordinate or anything like that. So I take it less as an indictment on his character and more as a sign of the time.
Yeah,
And then
that's
I'm
right.
going to say that and it's going to come out. He said something horrific. So keep me on that.
Hopefully
But yeah,
not, and I would be shocked if he did, based on all the things, all the reasons we've sort of listed already. He's already been out there for so long and everything. Mitch, anything to add here?
Um, I don't know. I don't know what was said. I don't care to speculate on it. I agree with most of everything there, that he's kind of old school, to summarize it. And you see the way that he speaks in a lot of his press conferences. He's quite cavalier at times, and he can speak in sayings, or I can see him being misunderstood. But truth is, I don't know what was said, so I don't know,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
don't know Bruce.
yeah, right. And so, like, there's this difference between like accidentally saying something that makes somebody feel uncomfortable or whatever, and intentionally saying something that you mean, to make somebody feel uncomfortable or worse. And it just seems like in this day and age, there's the line, it gets blurred, and almost the nuance of it gets completely, nobody cares. And there's some people out there that just want to sort of cancel people, but we're not going to get into a cancel culture conversation here. That's for damn sure.
I
So,
am.
no, you will not. You will not. I will cancel you, so I will mute you. Remember, I know how to mute these days. All right, let's go
That's true.
to Women's World Cup. Basically, we got to put a bow on the U.S. Women's National Team. Their campaign to be back to back to back champions has come and gone. As we talked about last week, the team never, it felt like they never got out of second gear, or maybe, the finishing anyway, never got out of park, to be honest with you. So since we talked last, there was a 0-0 draw against Portugal, in which case we squeaked by. Portugal had a shot near the end of the game that could have knocked us out of the tournament. Hit the post, went wide, and we, eked our way into the round of 16. But because we finished second, we had to face Sweden, who always gives us troubles. But at the same time, that game, I mean, I watched it. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, whatever, and watched it. It was so frustrating because, again, we dominated the game. We had 60% possession. We had 22 shots, 11 on frame versus just one for Sweden. I think we gave up 2 shots on goal the entire tournament and somehow got knocked out, which is insane. But despite all the possession, despite all the shots, including 11 on net, zero goals to show for it. So we then went to penalties, and they didn't go well. They did not go particularly well. We had players who you would very much expect not to be overwhelmed by the moment. Putting shots wide and high. Kelly O'Hara, Megan Rapinoe, Sophia Smith, all missed their penalties. Alyssa Nair did not. So not only was she in net stopping some of them, but she also scored her penalty. Shout out to her. It's different if it's GKU. It's not GKU if it's your goalkeeper. But anyway, back to the point. Mitch, sort of what are your thoughts here?
Unconfirmed here. Just quick note on that. Quick note that unconfirmed, but I did see something that said she was the first keeper to score and save a penalty in a World Cup penalty shootout in the Women's World Cup. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's good on her. But might be the only gold nugget to take from that game. And the tournament performance as a whole.
Yeah.
It was not expected to see them knocked out. It was probably a healthy dose of reality that, yeah. I think coaching decisions had a lot to do with our success. Vlatko deserves to lose his job after this. I would be surprised if he has a job by Labor Day. But this was a reality check. This was needed, and it was a changing of the guards in like U.S. women's national team camp. Well, I think the younger generation is going to carry it from here on out, and your Sophia Smiths and your Trinity Rodmans are going to be the leaders at this next World Cup in 4 years. And this experience will have been good for them to get games at this stage under their belt and to know what it feels like to play at this stage. And hopefully they can communicate that to the then younger generation that's also playing. But we need a new coach and a new method of play in the next 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to give Vlatko some credit. He stuck to his guns, and he continued to throw Alex Morgan out there at the 9 and keep Sophia Smith sort of anchored to the sideline as a winger, which I think frustrated a lot of fans.
And why do we have to give him credit for that?
No, well, I was sort of being facetious with giving him credit for being
okay, fair.
committed to his subpar strategy on that, and he also remained committed to Megan Rapinoe. I think there were a lot of people who watched the World Cup and thought when he threw Megan Rapinoe on late in the game against Vietnam that would kind of be like listen, she's done incredible things for this team. She's been sort of a force to be reckoned with for however many World Cups, and kind of like a thank you. And then now we're gonna, see the more Rodman, more Lynn Williams, more Alyssa Thompson, more Ashley Sanchez, all these people. Nope, he just kept going right back to the Megan Rapinoe well. And so at least this is not a silver lining at all. But it's rare that you have like a debate that comes up and one side is definitively proven correct, and everybody who was criticizing Vlatko for number one for bringing Rapinoe and especially for just continuing to play her, I mean, we're proven beyond a shadow of a doubt you were right, because she wasn't very good in sort of the run of play, but also the reason you bring her, right, is so you put her in there on penalties because she's been cold-blooded her whole career, and she fucking skies it in a penalty shootout in the knockouts of a World Cup. And it's just like, fuck, man, that stinks. Like, I'm not one of those people that are gonna sort of revel in the fact that Rapinoe didn't succeed and the US didn't succeed. Like, those people kind of get me a little a little worked up. I try and hide it, but like, I'm rooting for the US, and people who aren't rooting for the US for whatever their reasons are, I'm not a big fan of that. But you're right. The people who were criticizing, I'm not saying hating, that's the wrong word, criticizing Vlatko and Megan Rapinoe's inclusion, you were proven absolutely right on that one. The fact that we didn't see, I don't think Alyssa Thompson saw the field. I don't think Ashley Sanchez saw the field. I know that Rodman didn't see it as much as I was hoping. Lynn Williams didn't see it that much. And Sophia Smith was playing as a winger, not as a 9. All that stuff, that sucked. And going into this, like, I kind of figured that Vlatko might end up being a sacrificial goat, kind of a whipping boy coach. He does. I mean, like, I'm sure he'll probably be a good coach somewhere else, but so heads have to roll after that sort of disappointment. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else to talk about? I mean, I feel like I've touched on all the things I wanted to hit. The only thing I was going to say is that Mallory Swanson, if she was on this team, would have, I mean, assuming Vlatko doesn't stick to, Alex Morgan, Mallory Swanson is the person who would have just absolutely changed this team and changed the dynamic and probably changed where we are right now. But injuries happen. It stinks. And obviously Katerina Macario fits in that as well. But Mallory Swanson as a 9, she was playing well, she was scoring goals, and the fact that we just could not put the goal the ball in the net is just. Anyway, last thing on the Women's World Cup for right now. Who's going to win this thing?
Spain, my pick at the beginning.
You're sticking with Spain.
Mhm.
All right. Japan has impressed me throughout. I think I'm gonna stick with them. I mean, some of the other teams that I know people threw out there that they liked, Brazil, Germany, also knocked out. So it's not like the US is the only
France.
one. France, they get knocked out?
No, sorry.
Okay, but they haven't looked great. I'll give you that. But
Right.
they're not out yet. I'm gonna
I
go
like
with
the
Japan.
Dutch.
You're going Dutch. Okay. All right.
I like the Dutch to win.
Danielle Van de Dunk's #1 fan. Respects your decision on that one. All right, weekly
Oh,
what
we
if
do
time.
one more comment on it. Sorry,
Yeah,
one more
go for it.
comment. The yellow card rule needs to change.
Yeah.
The accumulation of yellow cards, and I don't know how it's taken this long for me to realize that, but to get one card in the group stage game, go 3 games without one, and then get another card and then be suspended for the next game is outrageous. That's not in the spirit of like a tournament. It's not even in the spirit of a regular season type of play. But to have a tournament, like, why are you willfully omitting players that really haven't done all that much wrong? Two yellow cards accumulation should not equal a 1 game ban. Call it 3 or 4 yellow cards, then we can talk. But the current yellow card rule is ridiculous. We saw Rose Lavelle not play. I didn't watch the Sweden game, wasn't able to, but I'm gonna assume Rose Lavelle would have made a massive impact. Just
You would think. I
going
mean,
in
like
there.
if we it's not like we played bad for 90% of the field. It was just sort of that
No.
finishing. But Lavelle can score goals too. So yeah, I mean, I obviously we wanted her out there. She was maybe the most sort of let's say most productive player that we had throughout the World Cup, perhaps. I mean, she didn't obviously play all the minutes because she was kind of coming off an injury, but like when she was on the field, the team looked different. So I do think that if we had out there, it would be a different story. We'll go to weekly what if because we're not actually moving on from the women's national team. Weekly what if? What if Jill Ellis had been the coach of this team? Would things be any different right now?
I don't know, man. You got to think no, because I've always kind of assumed the players do dictate what's going to happen. But it did seem like there was no teacher in the classroom, so maybe it might have made a difference. I'm going to still say no, but it was there was so much more wrong than just that, in my opinion.
Mitch, I'll let you go before I say anything.
Maybe a game's worth of difference. Maybe we win that group. I'm not sure. I think coaching decisions made a huge difference in the Portugal game. And if we had, a little butterfly effect for you, if we had won that Portugal game, we win the group. And if we win the group, we play South Africa. And if we play South Africa, we play at a more favorable time slot for just us viewers. But maybe if we don't play Sweden and instead we play South Africa, we get a different result. And maybe I'm going to watch a U.S. women's national team game in a couple days. But nope. Instead, I am here with nothing to do in Auckland. So I think things are different. But I do kind of fully endorse what Mikey says, that it's not just the coaching, that players have a huge part to do with the success. And I didn't see any one player this tournament that made a difference.
I agree with you guys. I basically 2 weeks ago, I would have said, there's just no chance that anything would be different, but man, Flacco's subbing decisions are just sort of incomprehensible to me. I just don't understand them. So I say, I do think that something would be, I do think the US would still be playing right now. Now, whether we win it, that might be a bridge too far. The team obviously has some serious flaws. If we had Mallory Swanson, as I already said, a 9 who was in form like her, like, man, we had so many chances that I do think that we're this team is all the naysayers, all the haters, all the people coming out of the woodwork now to sort of use this US women not winning the World Cup to advance their little narrative and their little pet project or whatever, whether it be, I've seen promotion relegation, I've seen all sorts of different things. Most of them are full of shit. And I'd take, like, anybody who comes out with their little sort of, their grand conclusion based on this tournament, I basically say, well, at least you're outing yourself as full of shit. This team was, they could have scored however many goals against Sweden, and this whole conversation would be totally different. So it's just, the fact that, like, Europe is catching up. Yeah, that's absolutely true. The fact that, like, somehow US has dropped the ball in, our whatever, our investment, our how much we care about our commitment to women's sports and women's soccer. I don't think that's exactly true. I'm sure there is certain instances where the NWSL wasn't, investing enough. The US Federation may not have been, but in a general sense, like, the rest of the world, and specifically Europe, catching up to us, that's not an indictment of us. that's just the way the world works. And they've got this infrastructure, and they've got this sort of instinctive passion for the sport that they can leverage and close the gap relatively quickly. So these pet narratives and everything, fuck off with that nonsense. The US is still probably the best team in the world, and I would be surprised if any of those other teams said any different. To be honest with you, we're the teams that everybody is still scared of. All right, time to move on. Took this long, but thank you everybody for waiting. If you're just looking for some Premier League action, we are back. It's been a long off season, but Tottenham is about to, cause me all sorts of emotional damage, and I cannot wait. So Vincent Kompany's Burnley host, as I said, the defending treble champions City on Friday. That's an interesting little nugget, by the way. Those two teams facing off on the opening day. I'm sure it was random, completely random, I'm sure. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to give everybody a way too premature 2023-24 season preview with predictions, so everybody can laugh at us about them later, since obviously they're going to be terrible. But let me start out with the usual caveat, right? And this is an annual thing. The transfer window is still very much open. So things could change drastically for certain clubs. And of course, the first one that comes to my mind is Tottenham. With and without Harry Kane, this team looks very different. So, there will be some twists and turns still to come. But to get things started here, Mikey, I know you got your ear to the pavement on all the transfer ins and outs, rumors, actual transfers. So who had the best or worst transfer window this summer?
I know I mentioned Sheffield United to you as the worst just because of the sell. We're going for the points record bullshit that they're pulling. But I have a real deep feeling of condolence for the Liverpool faithful in my life for their inactivity this window. I'm seeing more hashtag FSG out than I've ever seen in my life. It's crazy. They're going to go into the season in 5 days. Klopp's quote today was, "We can't build a lineup for the season, so we need to build a lineup for Chelsea." They're lowballing Southampton over Latvia by 5 million euros. They're heading into the season with Curtis Jones as their defensive midfielder. They are in a lot of trouble, and they looked pretty bad in the friendly the other day as well. So I think Liverpool has had an absolute howler in terms of transfer incoming or anything really has been horrific. And the team that's done the best for me, it's Aston Villa with Moussa Diaby, Pau Torres, and Tielemans. Just really, really, really good players in my opinion. So Emery with Pau Torres, what else is new? That's going to be a good sign. So those are my moves.
Okay, that's fair. I agree with you on most of that. One, I'm not quite as down on Liverpool as you are. Obviously, they haven't done a ton of business, but I think McAllister is a good signing, and I think they get back a bunch of guys that were injured, which I think, whether we're forgetting about them or not, is going to be important. is going to be big for them. But you're right. They probably haven't done enough. Mitch, what do you think? Anybody stand out as having a bad summer, a good summer, or just maybe an interesting summer?
Interesting bad. I'll go with West Ham. Have they signed a player yet? Have they spent that Rice money that we've so graciously given them? Millions and millions and fucking millions.
Did you see
they
the
signed
tweet today?
Sean Moore from Cliftonville for an undisclosed amount.
They were trying to sign McTominay and Maguire for 75 million combined, and somebody said it's actually sad seeing West Ham spend the money. It's like watching a drug addict buy drugs. Like you give drug addicts cash and you watch them go buy drugs. It's tough.
That's really sad.
They've signed who for an undisclosed fee?
Sean Moore.
McTominay. Oh
no. They allegedly. Listen, I don't go too deep on shitting on teams about these sort of rumor stuff because I always take it with a grain of salt. It was allegedly they're going after McTominay and Maguire. The one that they officially have confirmed signed is Sean Moore from Cliftonville. Cliftonville might be a high school in sort of the southwestern Wisconsin.
I'm pretty sure I went to college with Sean Moore at Westfield.
Sean Moore from Cliftonsville, yeah, the D3 legend.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, not only have they signed sold Declan Rice, they've sold Scamucha or Scamacha, Scamucha, yeah. Lanzini, obviously he's getting a little long in the tooth at this point, but obviously, but listen, they've still got time to do it. They're taking the Tottenham route and waiting till the absolute last minute when
that works usually for you.
Yeah, no, I hate it. I feel bad for West Ham fans. I don't know what they're waiting for.
I don't. Biggest load of twats on Twitter.
No. First of all,
they're bad. They're bad.
Arsenal is by far the worst.
No, we're not getting into this now.
Worse? No.
Oh, you guys are bad. You guys are real bad.
It's only because there's so many of us.
There is a lot of you guys, especially on Twitter because you have no lives. So West Ham. Okay, we got a 1 vote for West Ham. That's a good one, by the way. Well said. Well pointed out there, Mitch. Let's go to let's just start at the top. Who do we got winning it all? Anybody want to go on a limb here?
Whoa.
Thinking about it.
I can't tell you how nervous I was on Sunday going into that, thinking that this whole thing was ruined, and I came out thinking we were 30 times better than we were last season. Fuck me. I'm gonna say Arsenal win the Premier League title this season.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, Mikey.
Cosign.
I saw a quote today from Pep that said the hug that him and Kevin De Bruyne had at the end of last season's Champions League, where they said, "It's over, we did it," was enough to let me think the door's open, baby. But right after a treble, this is it. This has got to be it.
I will say that this is your best chance in a long time. I'll give you that.
It's our best side since the Invincible. It's not even close.
Maybe. Have you ever even been in the title race?
Yes. leading the new year, the last 3 year, bottled that.
6 months ago, we were in a title race. Yeah.
Come on, guys. We all knew. We all knew where that was.
We did not all know.
All right. Well,
we had an
we all knew.
People with brains and 2 eyes.
What is he talking about? All right. So I think it's Arsenal. I think it's City. Part of me believes that Chelsea's going to pull it together.
Based on what? They've
I don't think I think Newcastle falls. I think it's the 3-4-5 from here, Chelsea, United, Newcastle, and I think that it gets all messy in there. But if I'm going to have a gun in my head, I'd go United, Chelsea, Newcastle. Newcastle doesn't have the depth to play on 2 fronts yet.
Yes, that's an issue for Newcastle. I agree that might be a problem for them, assuming that they.
Plus, they're going to have 15 minutes of stoppage time at the end of every one of their matches, so that's going to really backfire.
Listen, that one of my that was my one of my goals. We'll get to that later, but as an over better, that was like my wet dream to see that. So you've got Arsenal, City, United, Chelsea.
Yes.
Okay, Mitchell, are you co-signing that?
Not exactly. I do want to co-sign Arsenal City because if there's ever a year to do that, it's this year. And I'm not going to be made an ass of by predicting City to win the league, and then we turn around and in 9 months we have Arsenal at the top of the table. I don't rate Chelsea that highly. At third, you
I
said,
don't
or,
either.
or fourth?
Yeah. Boy.
Even still, I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
know. I
I
know
don't
it's
see
crazy.
Chelsea.
Too much
It's
going on there. Too much, churn
mm,
for me.
I don't think Chelsea get top four.
I don't have them top four either.
Um, at three, I do have United at three, and then four, tough. I'm hesitant to put Chelsea up there because I just said that they wouldn't get top four, but like I
Who
can see
else?
I can see I can see Spurs
Villa.
at foot
That's
if Kane stays,
I love
Spurs
it,
at
but that's a
four.
ballsy call. I love. Listen, this team.
Sure,
I do
sure.
think that this team will be much better than last year, assuming Harry Kane stays and
Mhm.
assuming Betancourt can stay healthy. I think people forget about how good
Jesus,
he
that's the
was.
sentence. That's the sentence.
Listen,
Yeah,
that's where we're at
you
right now.
dropped off a cliff there.
That's where we're at. Betancourt.
Okay, I'm taking them out of the four spot. I'll put Brighton up
Jesus,
there.
that is dark,
Oh,
Sam.
Come on. Yeah, you guys. Did you guys watch that
I think
Tottenham
he's a
with?
good player, but that's not how your season should change.
I mean, did you see what talk about falling off a cliff? The club fell off a cliff as soon as he got hurt. The team, our
Mm,
midfield went absolute to shit. But
it is absolutely shit.
shut up. I wish I had a better comeback. I don't.
Hoiberg's still going to start match week 1 for you?
Who is that? Hoiberg? Yeah, God, I hope
Is
not.
Hoiberg still going to start match week 1?
I hope not. I hope not. I mean, my whole like we bought even
As in a
Basuma.
wheelchair.
We bought Basuma for a reason, right? Let's fucking see him out there.
He's like the only Brighton project that hasn't worked.
I know, but listen, give him time. Give him time. I'm not high on Tottenham this season. I think that our new coach, I'm excited for him,
Love him.
but I think it's going to take some time, and probably there's going to be maybe some ugly losses in there at some point, given his style, which is new for us and not new in the sense that like it feels like we're getting back to the Tottenham that I fell in love with, and like we're gonna fucking go score some goals, unlike this fucking nastiness of the last several years. It does feel like we're getting back to our roots a little bit, but I do think there's probably going to be a little transition period. So I don't have Tottenham in my top four. I got City winning it. You guys are absolutely bananas. You guys are bonkers. You're high on something. City is so good; they are going to win. That I would love to go with somebody else. I wouldn't love to go with Arsenal, but I just don't think City fall. I'd love to. I'd love to come up with some rationale for it. I just don't see it. I do have Arsenal second. Unfortunately, I really wanted to pick Liverpool ahead of Arsenal, but they haven't done enough in the summer. Like I do think that some of their injuries that they're getting back are people have forgotten about how good some of those guys are. But I do think that Arsenal is just, with I'm trying to do my unbiased thing here. And the addition of Declan Rice is nice, and
I'd say that's a positive.
yeah, for me or for Arsenal.
Going out on a limb there, yeah.
So I got Arsenal
Pretty
2.
good.
I got Liverpool 3 though. I think Liverpool. I like Liverpool more than you guys do.
Ask a Liverpool fan what they think.
Yeah, but they're
You
coming
like the
off.
idea of Liverpool.
They're coming off of
I'm
this
still
high where
scared
it
of
was
them.
them and City, right? They're not on that level at this point, but they're also not on. They're not with Spurs right now. They got a really good team, and I think Liverpool will finish third, and then I got Arsenal fourth, or not Arsenal, United fourth. I don't think too much churn for Chelsea for me. I mean, I'm a big fan of Pochettino. I hope he fails miserably there and goes get a better job, but he'll probably do a good job. It feels too much churn, too many ins and outs. Obviously, a lot of dead wood that they had to get rid of, and I will say I do think that they had a good summer. Whether it was like slightly bending the rules, maybe, but they did it, and they got rid of a lot of contracts that they needed to, which
wait till Neymar comes in.
That'd be interesting. It might change my calculus on this. If you had
Nkunku out 8 weeks, by the way.
Oh, is he really? Didn't see that.
Yeah.
MCL injury today.
Oh, that's no bueno. Well, that just sort of reinforces what I thought, which is Chelsea's more down in the Tottenham range, which is below the top 4, also below Newcastle, probably below Aston Villa. Yeah, I'm just not high on either one of those teams this year. I do think Newcastle fall out of the top 4 because I do think that they'll put something of an emphasis on progressing in Champions League, which I don't know if they're deep enough to fight in 2 competitions, and obviously you got FA Cup and other things that they might be playing in. So I think that'll come back to just sort of bite them a little bit. I like United more than I like Newcastle for the top 4. So that's my City, Arsenal, Liverpool, United, top 4. That could change. That could change in the next couple of weeks. What about bottom 3? I know Mikey's definitely got Sheffield going down.
Sheffield and Luton. See you later. Genuinely disgusted by them.
Yeah.
Disgusted.
Okay.
I mean, Luton's just
embarrassing.
Luton's just poor. Why are you getting on the poor people here?
He's selling everybody on purpose.
That's Sheffield. That's Sheffield, though. That's Sheffield. Luton's just poor. You're just hating on poor
I guess. And then I think Wolves go down.
It's their year. Finally,
it's been long enough. It's toss up between them and Forest, in my opinion, and I'm gonna say Wolves go down.
Yeah, I do think Forest is going to be in for a fight. I mean, now that
what's older, Sam? I'm gonna make you, or what's the higher number at the end of this year? Your age or Luton and Sheffield's combined points?
I don't want to age myself, but
I'm gonna put that one out on Twitter before the season starts.
Oh boy, that's tough. Yeah, I don't know which one I'd go with, to be honest with you. I'm gonna go with
that's right at the number, I think.
Probably
52. Ooh, sorry, we can edit that out, right?
At least you aged me. I appreciate that part of it. Even though I probably sound like I'm 52, some of my takes. Not watching Barbie, not watching whatever else. But I'm gonna go with Luton and Sheffield somehow more points over me.
All right.
We'll see. Bottom 3. So you got Wolves. Who do you got going? So Wolves, Sheffield United, and Luton. And by the way, Austin Trusty just got signed by Sheffield United. He might be in for a really long season, which unfortunate on that. In that sense, who you got, Mitch?
Bournemouth added to Luton and Sheffield. Luton and Sheffield feel like locks in my eyes, and Bournemouth seem like the next logical club to go down. Forest right on that cusp as well, but Bournemouth for me.
So Forest will be an interesting team, right? So they talk about churn. Like no team had more churn last season than Nottingham Forest, but at the same time, they dealt with so many injuries. So maybe the fact that they survived, I don't know how they did it, but they survived. Maybe they can sort of consolidate a little bit and they'll have a whole summer to play together. I think Nottingham Forest, especially if they get Matt Turner, and then of course I'll become completely biased beyond all belief. But I think Forest stays up. I do like the Bournemouth shout.
Is that not confirmed yet? I want to say I saw something that
I think I saw a tweet from like
or
Fab
maybe
or something.
7 million. It's close.
Right. I didn't
close,
see
okay.
here we go soon or something like that. Which, by the way, we've never really talked about the Arsenal goalkeeping situation. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
It never made sense. It was a high number for him, and he was a guy that said it. Playing with his feet was his weakness. Like this was always a weird signing for me.
No. Not,
I think
that's
Raya
not even the
coming
weird
in.
part. It's the Raya coming in when you've got Ramsdale, who is arguably one of the better keepers in the league last year.
He has his moments. And honestly, it can only improve the club, and it's somebody they've wanted forever. Also, there's a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper coach on staff is a Spanish guy who came from Brentford, who brought Raya in. That was the Spanish connection. They've been in love with each other forever. So, like, this was always going to happen. And I think, honestly, it can only improve the squad to have two keepers. And if one falls out of form, if one's playing and one's mad, it's because one's playing well. So, I don't think there'll be a situation where neither one's playing well. It can only help us. So, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Competition at the one is a good thing. Matt Turner,
Really.
phenomenal, but didn't really ever push Ramsdale to become that starter. Raya will.
Correct.
You know who really is made out big in all of this is the New England Revolution goalkeeper coach, because he sold Matt Turner to now become probably the most recognizable American goalkeeper right now. And Jordi Petrovic, current
So the price tag
Revolution
on him?
goalkeeper, is
Same as
set to
Turner,
become
right?
the eighth most expensive goalkeeper ever if he were to transfer at that price.
Crazy
Ridiculous.
number.
He's good as well. From his body of work this season, he's deserved it, but I don't know what they're putting in the water over there in Foxborough.
We'll see. I would like to see Turner at Forest. I mean, just he'll probably be GK1 right off the bat. Get him in there. I don't know what the situation is with Dean Henderson, but yeah, get him some minutes. All right. So biggest underperformer of the, I don't know what we're calling this group. It used to be sort of big four, big six, sexy seven. Call them the sexy seven, but with the S with like a money sign in there.
Are you changing the name to keep Spurs in a top conversation?
First of all, we're in the conversation. We got the stadium, we got the money. Yeah, we've had a little down year. Listen, Arsenal fan, you guys are getting real uppity for having 1 year, one season. It's usually,
Yeah, it's hard to see why we'd be optimistic about the future of our teenage club.
We know how these things work, and everybody's fortunes turn around real quick. It was about 5 straight years where you guys were the ones bitching about what was going on and fucking Arteta.
Back in my day, we had 140 characters.
I have never once bitched.
You do the old man voice way better than me, Mitch. But we're going with sexy seven. Shut your mouth, Mikey. Who's the biggest underperformer of that group, the moneyed group?
Oh, I definitely think it's Liverpool. I think they're going to ship goals like they're on sale or something. I genuinely believe Liverpool will have a disappointing first 10 to 15 matches of the season, and either Klopp goes or something crazy happens. They're going to have to retool, and that January window, you're going to see some switch. I think Liverpool enter the January window in 8th or 9th.
Ooh, you are really down on Liverpool. If Tyler was on this podcast right now, he would be trying to reach through the computer and strangle you, even if he
he'd know exactly what I'm talking about.
Or he would have a real good pulse on his team and really kind of realize that, he might be right there. What's more realistic, that Klopp leaves in mid-season or they hold on to him?
I would say Klopp leaving this season is a Mikey guarantee.
Ooh.
He's out of here by the end of the season.
Wow. Okay.
Or like a I'm leaving at the end of the season. I think he has 38 more Premier League games left as a Liverpool manager at most.
Tops. Okay. Over under 38.
At Christmas when they're in 8th and he announces that this is his last season, and instead of turning into like a legit shot at top 4 or top 6, just turns into his farewell tour.
100%. That's really realistic in my opinion.
A lot of Liverpool hate coming out here. Okay.
Not hate.
Well, it's arguable, debatable. Mitch, who you got? Is Liverpool your sort of ugly duckling?
No, it's Chelsea for the aforementioned disarray this offseason. Not high on them. You asked me a couple weeks ago, like, who are you buying stock in? And I said I was buying the dip on Chelsea. I don't think that's going to skyrocket. I don't think they're going to come in top 4, but I do think they're going to underperform based on expectations from past years.
Okay.
Just don't have a lot of confidence in this team.
I don't know what to expect from Tottenham and Chelsea. The two teams I don't really know what what they're going to do. I think obviously Tottenham still has a lot of question marks and holes to fill, mostly just question marks. And Chelsea has all this churn. Newcastle is an interesting one. Like I was really high in them coming in the last season. I said they were going to make top four. They did actually make top four. They haven't done a ton of business this summer. So it's not like they've really built out the squad much. Obviously, Tonali is a big name. Whether he wants to be there or not, it seems to be debatable.
He doesn't even want to be there. He has no interest in playing there.
Twitter, it seems to be very debatable. Harvey Barnes, it's obviously a very solid signing. It's not going to sort of move the needle, I don't think. But I don't know. They paid like 40 million.
He's the biggest recipient of the English tax I've seen in recent memory. Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes is a good footballer.
Yeah.
End statement. He is not. I don't even know the sum that he was
Aaron Lennon
transferred for.
regen.
Yeah, legit.
Well, point being that they might be now sort of prime for a little bit of a rollback. Like they're going to be in Champions, they're going to be in all these competitions, and the expectations. It's more the expectations for them are a lot higher, and they're probably going to keep going higher. So that I still like them. I still think they're going to be a better team than say Tottenham, but I just don't. I think expectations might be sort of getting a little high for them, and they might be primed for a little bit of a come down. Now, in terms of who the biggest underperformer is, like I don't know if you could say that about Newcastle when you got Spurs and Chelsea, who, in my estimation, will probably be fighting for like I don't know 6, 7, 8 type position. Thankfully, we being Spurs, thankfully we're not playing in Europe, which is a godsend because we need to focus all of our energies on the Premier League and hopefully getting back into sort of the top four, because that's the only way that we'd have a chance of keeping Harry Kane, assuming he stays past the summer, which we shall see on that one. Any dark horse clubs? Any clubs you see, like a Brighton has come out of nowhere, a Burnley back in the day finished, I think, 7th. Who's Sheffield United had a season they were pretty way ahead of expectations. Any clubs you guys could see just sort of finishing way higher than people are calling for them coming in?
Given my Villa take,
I was gonna say I can see Villa finishing higher. I don't know what these perceived expectations are for each club.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at there's different. Obviously, you could look at the odds, right? Opta puts out a sort of position, I think, based on models that they run of hundreds of thousands of games or whatever. And let me give you I'll give you the list based on what Opta thinks where everybody will finish. So they got City, Arsenal, Liverpool, United, top 4. Then they got Newcastle, Chelsea, Brighton, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Brentford, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Fulham in 13th, Wolves 14th, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, Everton squeaks back into the Premier League according to their models. And then the bottom 3, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, and Luton Town.
They've never been wrong.
I think Everton overperformed those projections right there, but not by much.
If there's a team I'm worried about, and so I think I asked you if teams are overperform, you could take it the other way. If there's a team you see underperforming, I think Brentford's a team that might be, in a bit of a spot of bother, as they say. I mean, like they don't have Ivan Toney. And who's going to score the goals for them? I'm not real sure. They've obviously overperformed several years in a row and were a lot of fun to watch, but it's a team. I feel like I might be saying this 2 years in a row and they basically proved me wrong last year. I might be getting confused with Brighton, who I will never doubt again, by the way. No doubting Brighton over here. Brentford is a team that I think might be prime for a little bit of a fall. They've got them in 10th on this Opta model analysis. I think I see
they have the most 10th. They have the most 10th squad of all time. So, and Buemo's fantastic.
They've also got Villa finishing 9th. I got Villa much higher than that. I got Villa maybe 5, 6. What else? Anything else? Do a quick little first manager fired slash golden boot. I'm trying to think, were there other questions I sent you guys?
Golden boot. We still doing that?
I don't know. I mean, it's such a crapshoot, but and especially with Holland, is it even worth doing? Yeah.
So I have a weird take for first manager fired. I think there's a strong chance Moyes doesn't make opening game.
Who?
I think David Moyes may not make opening week.
Based on what? Their lack of activity?
Yeah, people are talking about how their main first manager ever be fired before the season begins.
Coming off of their
And
first trophy winning season in God knows how long.
I would say David Moyes is in danger of being let go from his post at West Ham manager, and I would put my life on him to be first one. You would want to switch your manager when you have 100 million available because you're allowed to fund whoever you believe in. So, I think there's a strong chance.
Okay. I mean, you actually make a pretty strong case there, I will say.
Yeah. Mikey, you've kind of made a hell of a case for that right there. I'm all on board with that Moyes thing because you can fund someone else's product. No manager wants to come in at the beginning or middle of a season to someone else's squad. If you, like you said, you have 100 mil to throw around and manager that can spend half of that, that's enticing as all hell. Yeah, I'm all in on that.
Fair. I mean, there's so Julian Lopetegui is by far the favorite according to the betting.
Oh yeah,
the odds makers at this point, and Mikey already pointed out that why that might be a good bet. I don't know. Marco Silva, Fulham, obviously had a great season last year. Whether they can keep that up, I don't know. Paul Heckenbotham, he's the guy for Sheffield United. I feel like he might be the sacrificial lamb. Like we're just, we're going to throw somebody under the bus, and he's obviously going to be the first choice. So maybe if you're going to go away from Lopetegui, I'm not with you on this David Moyes call, by the way. I think if you win a trophy and he's been through the wars with West Ham, they'll give him at least some of the season. It has to give him some of the season. I think Lopetegui is probably a good call, but if I'm going to go off the beaten path away from the favorite, I'd go with Paul Heckenbottom, excuse me, of Sheffield United. I mean, God, yeah. Did Erling Haaland ruin the Golden Boot discussion for us? I feel like he may have. It's just like, what's even the point?
I have no desire to remove that little captain's armband off him for FPL for a whole year.
Yeah, I tried to be the guy that was so smart and not have him on my team last year, and that's why I finished in like 200,999th.
It's not even a conversation point anymore. It's just like,
no, absolutely not. And by the way, that's a reminder to everybody listening. Well, I'll put out the link on Twitter and Instagram, tomorrow or the next day to remind everybody. But we're doing the FPL again, so get back in it. You guys can. I know Larry's doing it. I don't know if TJ is. Those guys will be back on, by the way. Mikey, Mitch, I think Tyler was in it. Tommy's in it. You guys are obviously better.
Yeah, I have a bet with Larry this year. We haven't decided the wager, so if anybody can think of one, tweet me.
He's going to be more unbiased this year, so he's probably going to be more of a force. All right, we will move on. I think we're down to stoppage time. So let's put a bow on this episode. Let's finish it up. Finish strong. So stoppage time. I've been Toney's best bets. Overtrain. Oh boy. We're starting to heat up again. That's not a good thing. Usually I start to get a little far out over my skis when this happens, but I nailed it. Karlsruhe and Hamburger. You guys made a lot of fun of me for my pronunciation last week. Well, I was right. God damn it. Karlsruhe and Hamburger finished 2-2. Oh, that's a huge, big win for the overtrain. Feel real good about myself. So I'm gonna give you guys a number of picks here. Way too many, so I'm gonna probably get them all wrong. But if you guys want to go first, I'll let you go. I don't want to steal the spotlight here. Anybody ready?
No, go ahead.
All right. Don't threaten me with a good time. So basically, I got picks for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. One on Friday, two on Saturday, two on Sunday. That's a total of, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a lot. That's way more than I've ever given out. But the problem is that all these leagues are coming back. And like I'm seeing like the Danish league is back, Austrian Bundesliga is back, and I'm just sort of getting like a red rocket, which is, a dog boner, and really getting a little randy. I'm a little excited about it. So on Friday, Denmark, Copenhagen hosting Odense, over, no problem. A lot of goals in that. Saturday, Arsenal hosting Forest. Now this is contingent upon Matthew Jebediah Turner not being in net for Forest. If he is, bets off. I do not want any part of it. If he's not in net, I'm going Arsenal, Nottingham Forest over. Probably most of them coming from one side. Also on Saturday, LASK or Lask. I'm not actually sure how they pronounce it, but LASK and BW Linz in the Austrian Bundesliga. Both those teams score. That's going to be over. Now on Sunday, we're going A-League. A-League's back, even though I think this is actually some sort of cup game. But we got Sydney FC and Central Coast Mariners. Central Coast Mariners were basically my over all-stars of last season. So they're back, and I gotta sprinkle some money on them. And then finally, another one from the Austrian Bundesliga, Rapid Vienna and Hartberg. So there we go. Copenhagen Odense, Arsenal Forest, LASK, BW Lens, Sydney FC, Central Coast Mariners, and Rapid Vienna Hartberg. 5 winners, 5 overs. Let's get some goals. Let's make some money. And we're just going to have a great time this weekend. Okay, who wants to go next?
Mitch,
Mikey.
you got that one?
Mitch, Mikey.
I have the picks. I don't have the odds on them because my book is not letting me access from New Zealand. But regardless, we'll go Arsenal first half money line against Forest at home. First game of the season. We're going to come out strong. And then Brighton Luton, also first half money line. I think Luton's first Premier League action in however many years is going to be a shock to them. They are away to Brighton. I think Brighton takes care of business. Parlay those together. Don't know what you got, but pretty good odds.
Was that the first half for Brighton Luton, or just that was
first half? First half. I mean, you could take money line, like you can take Brighton money line as well, but you're not getting nearly as much value there. I like Brighton to score first, halftime, full time, whatever variation of those bets you're most comfortable with.
Sounds good. Mikey, what are you looking at?
I'm ready to put money on the England women's national team going head to head with Spain in the final exact matchup, and Spain to beat England in the final. So I don't know how to track that bet, but from here on to the end of the tournament, I'm going to ride England and Spain. I want people to know that that's where I'm going with it, and Spain to win the whole thing. So carry those as your best bets for the rest of the Women's World Cup.
Okay, I'm sure you get some nice odds for Spain beating England in the final.
Look it up.
I'm sure it's out there on one of the books. That's a good one. All right, GOAWs time. Finish strong. Who wants to? Mikey's looking something up. Mitch, you got anything for us on the GOAWs front?
Yeah, I got a couple. One being Harry Kane for signing the most on brand deal you could ever dream up. Harry Kane signed a first ever high-end football boot deal with Skechers. Harry Kane and Skechers is a match made in brand heaven. I can't think of a person more fitting for boring shoes, boring boots, and boring brand. Sorry, Skechers. You've picked well. You've picked your spokesperson real well. And then my other one is FC Copenhagen. He has a forward. There's a forward, Ori Stein Oscarsson, scored a hat trick in a 6-3 win in a Champions League qualifier. The opposing coach was who? His father. Scoring a hat trick against your dad's team in a Champions League qualifier earns you a go in my book. That's fantastic. That's dinner. That's dinner table conversation for the next 3 months.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving Day dinner is going to be a little awkward, even though they don't have that in Europe or whatever. So let's just.
I'm sure they celebrate Thanksgiving in Copenhagen.
Let's just go with it. God damn it. All right. That's good. That's what GOAWs was made for right there, Mitch. Well done. Mikey, you looking thing. I got a whole list, so I don't want to steal your thunder here if you're ready to go.
I'm gonna shut out Hulk for a blast from the past, quite literally. The other day in Brazil, I've been betting a lot of Brazil, losing a lot of money. That has not been going great, but that goal was fun to watch. And I'm gonna give a shout out to the crossover grid guy, the crossover grid soccer guy. DM me that he is a big fan of yours, Sam. And
Who's
he's
this?
probably
I gotta
listening
find. I
now.
didn't know I
So
had fans. Who is it?
crossover grid soccer.
Bro, I play crossover grid NBA and soccer every single day. That's awesome.
I,
That's
I
a
have a
huge
confession. My brain does not work that way. I don't know what I'm lacking. I swear to you, but I am unable to comprehend those grids.
That's awesome.
It's really bad. It's really bad,
they're
Mitch.
they're fun. See, like when you see, PSG Arsenal, you feel like that should come to you immediately, but then you spend 10, 15 minutes and you're like, fuck, who was that one player that I packed in FIFA 16 that was like a non-rare gold? And that's how my mind gets there. But
Yeah.
I'm not able to recall those just like that. Those, like, they're tough. I spend more time on those than I do on like my job during the day. So shout out crossover grid guy.
And hopefully not overtime. Who's not listening? I'm gonna have to look this. I'm gonna have
Good
to
fuck.
start playing this a little more. Shout out crossover grid guy, my man. And so that's a good goa. That's a great goa. Any others? Are we done there?
That's done.
Okay. Well,
I
I
mean,
got hope.
if you want me to give Daniel Levy one, turning down 100 million for a 30-year-old, fucking brilliant.
I mean, he must clearly not have a plan B, because if he's doing that, he clearly.
Go ahead.
Goas. All right, I got a whole bunch of honorable mentions here. Willian. So he signed a deal with Fulham, and then, like, I don't know, 10 days later or something, he's like, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna go to Saudi Arabia. So peace out.
He's such a nonce.
He's such a snake. He's such a snake. That's
Fuck
like
him.
not the first time he's even done this. So shout
He
out to him
blows.
on that one. Also Alexander Pop, who is the German nine, who is obviously a very good striker for the German national team, who Germany got knocked out in the World Cup, and just like Kai Havertz, she won the match. She won the woman of the match, where Kai Havertz won the man of the match in the games that they got knocked out. And they both had to take these photos with the picture. I think it was even Budweiser for both of them, where they have to, like, basically, woman, first player of the match picture, and it was like spitting image. The Kai Havertz non-smile and Alexander Pop non-smile, and both of them obviously being for Germany, and both of them getting crashing out early. It was just the parallels there. Sucks for her, obviously, but it made for great content. Shout out to Ariana Hinkst. Like, so she's the one of the women's. She used to play for the German national team. She's now part of the Fox, studio booth or whatever. And she, you watch your team get sort of bounced out way early. Obviously, Americans know all about this at this point, but I thought she actually did a really good job of analyzing the game and talking about how it went in a relatively sort of unbiased manner. And I thought that was really professional of her. So shout out Ariana Hinkst. And then finally, my last honorable mention is to the Premier League for adding more stoppage time, because that means more goals, which means over bettors are going to have a field day. So everybody get ready for that. But my Goa for the week, Marco Farfan. Listen, if you have a chance to score a goal off a Messi assist, you just fucking got to go for it. Okay. And he saw a chance. Yeah, he doesn't play for Inter Miami. He plays for FC Dallas. That's a little bit of a problem. But he saw that cross coming in. He's like, you know what? This is my chance. This is my chance. Me and Messi hooking up for a goal, and he just hammered it home.
Quite the finish.
It was a hell of a finish. It cashed my very much over. I think it was like the fifth or sixth goal of the game, and I had some sort of ridiculous over bet for it. So I'm a huge fan of Marco Farfan. Also, Charlotte and Houston just went over, so loving that. Mikey must not have. Are you on the right side of that or the wrong side?
Oh yeah, I am. That is unbelievable. I'm giving my GOAT to the Houston Dynamo as an entire team.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you'll know. You got my live reaction to my miserable week in betting just getting flipped on its head in the course of 2.5 seconds. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not watching it. I just got the alerts on my phone.
Minute. Yeah.
Okay, so they scored, Sam, and then they kicked off. And from the kickoff, the center back went to hit it back to the keeper, and he missed him, and it's 2-1 now.
Wait, did an own goal happen while Sam was talking about a different own goal?
Yeah.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
In the League's Cup, no less. There have been a lot of own goals. Robert Taylor scored one for Miami as well. Just
I've never seen that in my life.
Going on.
Messi's gonna ensure that Robert Taylor's grandkids live comfortably.
Oh,
he's going to have a phenomenal career just due to proximity.
I mean, his next deal is
yeah.
We sort of joke around about adding zeros to deals. Like Messi's added a zero to whatever he's getting sold for, based on the last like 2 weeks. Yep. That's all we got, guys. Thank you, guys and girls. Thank you for listening. Shout out to my guy Soccer Grid. What's up? And Mikey, thank you as always. Mitch, thank you coming in from New Zealand. Everybody, give him his flowers. And we will be, well, actually, we're not done. We'll be back. They'll be back next week. But you and I, the listener, and me are not done because we're going to throw it to a fun chat with Philip Goodrum. Here we go.